Imagine if you had to go to the government for seeking permission before you could use anything on the internet. For example, what if you need a specific permission to use LinkedIn, WhatsApp, YouTube, or for that matter, even Paytm or UPI or something like that. But this was exactly how the government of India had initially drafted the internet guidelines in January 1998. In fact, on 15th of January 1998, the guidelines that were issued mentioned a few specific services only which were allowed on the internet. This, of course, included the World Wide Web access. It also included email, but interestingly and curiously enough, it also named some characters whom some of you might recall from Archie comics. These were Archie, Veronica, and of course there are a few other services like Gopher also mentioned in that. Now many of you might be wondering, what has Archie, Veronica and Gopher got to do, especially in India's internet policy? The fact is that Archie and Veronica were a couple of search engines prevalent at that point of time. Remember, on 15th of January 1998, Google was just a few months old, and even a Yahoo was actually a toddler. It was less than probably 3 or 4 years old, not more than that. And this was the time when the government of India came out with this particular guidelines. The forms for the internet guidelines, internet licenses, were to go on sale from 18th of February that year. And on within 24 hours of these guidelines being issued on 15th of January 1998, I filed a petition on behalf of certain, so I was a deponent who signed as a deponent. I filed a petition in Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, which used to be a quasi-judicial body prior to the 2000 amendment to the TRA Act 1997. And TRA, of course, already had been certain other challenges there, including the offering of cellular services by MTNL, including revocation of paging licenses by the government of India. So our case was also clubbed with that. The hearings took place, and finally on 17th of February 1998, which is about 25 years and a week prior to today, that's when the TRA actually granted a stay on those guidelines, including the ISP guidelines, including the offering of MTNL's cellular services and the paging services. Now what happened after that was that on 6th of November 1998, we got a new ISP guidelines, and the license was offered same day. And on 12th of November 1998, the first India's first private internet services actually started. But the most interesting, of course, there were other changes also in those guidelines in terms of license fee, scope, certain other things. But I think the most important aspect which got changed from 15 January 1998 to 6 November 1998 was the redefinition of the scope of services under the new license. So under the new license, the scope was, if you see clause 1.14 in schedule C of the ISP license, that's how it read. Internet services or service means all types of internet access / content services except telephony on the internet, which of course also got allowed in a restricted manner from 2002 April, and subsequently unrestricted further on. But I think this particular change between January and November of 1998, I think this was very significant because it allowed for flexibility in terms of users as well as service providers to offer what all they would like. Otherwise, but for that type of intervention, we won't have the flexibility of having all these type of services, whether from India or abroad. So as of now, the licenses do allow all the flexibility. However, if we see some of the recent proposals, there is a talk that certain type of services, especially the services which have, let's say, voice on the internet protocol, so they should have a specific licensing requirement, and not just those, they could be about messaging, they could be about other things also. So they have been, I'll say, 25 years later. In some way it is a sense of deja vu, but I just hope and pray that those type of licensing for specific content and contents, etc., should not really be the norm. It should be more about, okay, access being licensed, infrastructure being licensed, the physical infrastructure and the access, rather than any application that write on it.